I think over the last few years, we've come to realize that humans are walking ecosystems. We used to think that we're just made up of human cells and that bacteria are bad. Now, over the last few years, last 5 years, we've come to realize that for every human cell that contains DNA, we have 10 microbes. And so even though it's for every human cell there's 1 microbe or 1.3 microbes, but for every human cell that contains DNA, there are 10 microbes. And it turns out that they actually have an impact on our health. And so, for example, if you're susceptible to acne infections, 5% of the population, they carry a Propionibacterium acnes that does not make an antibiotic. And those are the people who are susceptible to infections on their face. The people who have a Propionibacterium acnes that do make that antibiotic, they're fine. And so that's just an example. But we're learning that microbes in your gut impact your brain, how people think, how people behave. I mean, it's remarkable. And so that to me is why I'm so interested in the microbes that live in and on us. One of the things that has really transformed disability is the decreasing cost of doing DNA sequencing. It has gone down 9 orders of magnitude, and because of that we can now analyze large amount of DNA for a relatively low amount. And so DNA sequencing is one of the main techniques that people are doing to study or using to study the microbiome. But now people are in a transition in the microbiome field because DNA tells you who is there, what microbes are there, what viruses are there, what bacteria are there, what fungi are there. But we're now starting to transition into trying to figure out what their functions are. And this is where I come in. I'm interested in the molecules that those organisms change or make, and what effect do they have on our health. And that to me is very interesting. NIH spent, $174 million to launch the Human Microbiome Project. And basically what they did is they took participants and they mapped the organisms that lived in and on us. And because of that, we now realize that people are not just people. Now, if you look at the gene count, the human the DNA makes up 1%. The rest is microbes. And so it has fascinated people that if you take all the microbes in account, it weighs about the same mass as a brain. We're interested in the brain because we know it does a lot of functions. Now it turns out that microbes that also weigh basically the same amount as a brain, they also carry out a lot of interesting functions that we just have never explored. And so it's almost like, think of an explorer entering a new field. We found a new organ, and now we really want to know what it's doing. And that's why I think so many people are excited about it. The other thing that's happening is you have people in immunology, you have people in medicine, you have people in chemistry. They're now starting to have a common language. Even people who study environmental ecology, the language is the bacteria. And so now they all of a sudden can start to relate to each other. And it's really bringing a lot of different fields together because of the ability to have the same language. And that to me has been really exciting.